continually.
Well, those people in Carlisle must be thinking that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not flooded.
Floods.
Yeah. As in the days of Noah, they will be saying.
And in the days of Sodom and
Someone's
Gomorrah.
house goes floating by.
There's a lot of rain up there, aren't there?
Terrible Sunday. Yeah, up in Cumbria.
Oh, because do you know the current housing bubble that's in England and that? Would you say that's a fake thing, a manufactured thing?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
At the 2008
vanity,
crash, house prices should have gone down a lot further than they did.
Yeah.
But they were artificially propped up by bailing out the banks, by pumping billions into the banks.
The government was forced to bail out the banks, weren't they? Because if they didn't bail out the banks, then we would have gone to our current accounts and there'd have been nothing there.
Correct.
And there would have been all this upheaval.
That's right, but that was that was a bubble that produced that. So they kept the bubble inflated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They
if
had
it,
to.
if it
We've got
happens
a big
again
crash
on,
coming soon, haven't we?
They're going to be, yeah.
if it happens
Yeah.
on the same scale,
It's going to be on a bigger scale.
yeah, is there enough money to prop in the world to prop the banks up?
Yeah, again, where does the money come from?
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
not based upon nothing.
It's not.
it's
It's
not.
not. It's not. Is
It's
it?
purely based on sort of what people believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's speculative.
You know,
Speculation, isn't
At the
it?
end of the day, yeah, it is. At the end of the day, if someone gives you a £10 note, you take it because
Faith
you
that it's good.
believe that when you go to a shop,
You can buy £10
you will
worth
get
of goods.
£10 worth of goods, and as long as
Yeah.
everybody believes
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
it will carry on
But
circulating.
currently, isn't something like only 97% of currency in circulation is actually based upon GDP, whereas the 3% rather is
That's
based
right.
on
Yes,
GDP.
it's much the other
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And 97% is
Yeah.
actually created through debt,
Yeah.
which means that has to be paid back with interest.
That's
There's
right.
not enough money in the system to do that.
Absolutely. And the thing is that as long as it keeps circulating, you know, that we pay a bit off and that the money keeps floating around, everyone keeps going. But in reality, there is an end to it. When someone decides, no, I'm not accepting this anymore, then the whole thing, once it
Yeah.
stops in one area, the whole thing comes down.
It's probably going to stop
Like
in some
dominoes.
high order area, like a big international bank or something, or a country is going to refuse.
And it started, the last crash, I think, started with the subprime housing market, didn't it?
Yeah.
They tried to get their money from them and they couldn't pay it back, so that
That's
collapsed.
right.
That reduced
Well, they were
confidence
lending
in
money
the-
silly, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're lending
Well,
money
it-
to people without even seeing if
Well,
they
they
had
were
a job.
forced to. In Japan, what caused their problem was they would often, say you went to the banks for a mortgage, they would give you 3 times as much as the actual value of the house.
That's what we had when we started
That's
ours.
it.
3 times as much?
Yeah,
Yeah. And they're calling it spare money in
yeah, I
Japan.
know.
Well, I can
When people were buying a
remember.
house.
Yeah, they would go to the bank, get a loan out, the house would be worth, say, for the sake of argument, 100 grand. They would be given 300 grand. And that's how much they'd have to pay back.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what
I can remember Alistair Darling, the Chancellor Exchequer, under Blair, well, under Gordon Brown as Prime Minister, being asked about the debt mountain in Britain. He says not a problem. He said because in Britain there is £1 trillion worth of assets. Right, so if we've got £1 trillion worth of assets and we've got
It's
800
gone beyond that
billion
now, though, hasn't it?
pounds worth of debt, we're
Yeah.
okay. We've got equity of 200 billion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, your assets. Who values those?
Yeah,
You
exactly,
know,
yeah.
while they're
Yeah.
floating around up here, being pumped up to that level,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. The levels crashed. The
Yeah.
confidence
Based on the
has gone,
currency, isn't
and
it?
that
So
was it.
this country now is in debt.
The country's
Yeah.
hugely in debt.
It's-
As
it's
is the
worse
United
than
States.
A problem with the amount of currency within the system as well, that causes, because the value of a thing is determined by supply and demand, isn't
Yeah,
it? So if
that's
there's
right.
a massive supply of money,
Yeah,
that will decrease its value, which
that's
means
right.
that
Which
things like bread
results
should
in
go
inflation.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, quantitative easing.
Yeah, quantitative.
But currently I've heard that the reason why food is so cheap
Bless
still
you.
is because farms and stuff like that are subsidised by the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will we come out of the common market, Chris?
I think we'll either be thrown out with vengeance, or we will choose to go out.
Well, don't you reckon that they'll use, because with the Japan thing, they wanted them to fulfil certain criteria, like the IMF and the central banks wanted them to change their economic structure from a
Or
very
Greece.
successful economic thing to a very unsuccessful one, and that basically laid them open to be pillaged by the rest. Do you think the European central bank will do the same? It could do the same thing to England. It could basically commit a kind of financial terrorism
I think we obviously did a foolish thing by deserting the Commonwealth when we did, and put our lot in with Europe, because we had preferential trade links with all the Commonwealth, far better than what any trade links with Europe. And that's obviously now no longer available to us.
Is it still operating the Commonwealth?
The Commonwealth is a political organisation,
It's
whereas
not as
in
it was though. It's not
in those
commercial.
days it was economic as well, because there was,
Yeah.
you know, there was, we used to get preferential treatment on buying agricultural produce from the Commonwealth and
Canada.
exporting industrial goods to them and so on. But we went into Europe, where I remember an interview on the radio with a French minister, and he was being questioned about Britain's reluctance to join in with all the European stuff, and he just said, look, you've got to remember that the European Union was created to protect German industry and French agriculture, and that's why it's going to stay. And we are stupid enough to actually collude with that.
Well, it's not stupid, corrupt enough, rather. I'll say it in the upper echelons.
Yeah. But the powers that be are ordained of God.
Yeah, and he puts a basest of men on there, doesn't he? The basest of men.
Yeah.
Running
So-
those things.
Yeah. I realised, I was talking to Stephen about this the other day, because he's into politics as well. I was saying, actually, in reality, we were an anarchic system. Because no matter, we got this, like in Rome, we had the thin facade of the Senate, but below that you have the Emperor, and he was backed by the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's money. I can go up to a guy in the street and he's got a price. If I offer him enough money, he will do whatever I ask him to do. That means money is in control. Might has always been right. Might's always determined what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the reason for the English Civil War. It was the control of money, Parliament or the King.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You know, at one point they used massive stones in this island. I can't remember where it was, but these massive stones. That was their currency. You'd have it leaned up against your house. And there was even one stone that was down in the sea, irretrievable. Nobody doubted who owned it, and they used it as currency. They said, "Oh, a certain percentage of my stone for this produce."
Absolutely. No intrinsic value in any of it.
No.
Yeah.
Even gold doesn't have any intrinsic value.
absolutely
It's just good as a form of currency because it's not volatile.
That's right.
Volatility should have nothing to do with currency.
Well, it is what it is, isn't it? And it's that way for a reason, I guess.
Well, God's got everything in control. whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything made of man will have an end.
Yeah. Including man himself.
But, you know, Babylon, it says that, you know, you bow down to this image of gold.
It is interesting, though, just theoretically, prosperous and
Absolutely.
an awesome economy.
And Germany, you know,
Germany.
having had fought a sort of war to the death with Germany,
Yeah.
we then helped to rebuild Germany, so that Germany now is one of the most strongest economies in the world. That is the attitude of the Israel nation.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any real. I just don't think there's a threat to world peace or whatever from any Israel nation. But there is
I feel that in my
from
bones.
these other nations.
I agree, absolutely agree with you, but you do see them made out to be warmongers, don't you?
But then
Yeah.
putting the Israelites, or the so-called Israelites in Israel, that destabilised the Middle East something chronic. Being partners with Saudi Arabia,
Yes.
one of the wickedest nations on
Yeah.
this planet,
Yeah.
all this stuff in Syria, whereas a lot of these terrorist groups were funded and organised from the Pol Pot in South America. America has done heinous things.
It's in Cambodia, he was.
Or Cambodia, but I mean, still, it was set up by, because Noam Chomsky, he was talking about how, 9/11 was really bad, but there was another 9/11 where America essentially went over to this country to stage the coup and put in place Pol Pot. And they have done wicked things.
Yeah.
All for oil, and and you were saying about how in Afghanistan and Iraq they supposedly went over there to bring in democracy and stuff like that. They didn't. They went over there and they set up all these things so that then American oil companies could go over there and make a killing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the infrastructure that they put in place, the majority of the people in these countries can't even benefit from them, but the oil trucks can, the deforestation companies can, and the big greedy corporations can.
Yeah.
It doesn't do any benefit to the people in the country at all. It leaves them worse off with a massive debt on their shoulders.
Yeah, well, God's promise was to the Israelites, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
father of
they're
the nation.
powerful. They've got the power.
Yeah.
They have. There's no denying that.
His promise was with them, wasn't it? His blessing was with them.
But Israel, yeah. But Israel, throughout its whole history,
But
has been the most wicked
It
nation.
doesn't really say how they actually go about it. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, it's to give us hope, isn't it? Because if God's choosing this wicked,
Yeah.
idolatrous,
Yeah,
adulterous
that's right. And
slut of a
the
nation.
nation that has been blessed above all nations corrupts itself more
Yeah.
than those who are not. That's the perverseness of man. And
That's-
that's where you then see God again reveals through that, that man is just absolutely incapable of righteousness.
He'd do anything to get ahead. He would do anything
Yeah.
at all to get ahead. I've been ripped off by people. We all probably have been
Yeah.
ripped off by
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Some people more than most, but man, it's in him to get one over his fellow man, to get ahead. Even if it means that he's lying for his back teeth to do it, he will
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. It's wicked. It's wicked aeon, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's an aeon which is full of understanding and learning.
And the house of mourning is with them, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there is a remnant that God is preparing
Yeah.
to bring deliverance.
That's us, isn't it?
How large do you reckon that remnant will be, Chris? How many
Tiny.
people? Tiny.
Tiny.
A few thousand?
No, it's more.
A handful of grain on the top of the mountain.
I hope it's because Martin Zenley reckons that he's definitely in it, and Clyde Pilkington and their little gang, and we think that we are as well. They think, hang on a minute.
Well, no, it's
There's
not.
too
it's
many
not,
now.
The thing is, Martin's
I
and
think-
the Clyde Pilkington, they're not
I'm
part of
just
any
happy
sect.
to just
I know.
rest and let God do what He's
Yeah.
going to do.
Yeah. Neither are we. We're not a set. We don't give ourselves
I can't
any name.
do
We're
it.
just people meeting together.
Yeah.
You
You
can't-
know,
you can't.
and Martin's and Clyde Pilkington, they don't give themselves. I mean, he's got the study shelf and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
is just the name of his website that he sells books through. But they don't name themselves. So they're not part of any group. They just say, look, we're the ecclesia. We're the called out of God. And
Yeah, the ecclesia's been called out. That's right.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah, that's it.
Ecclesia.
But there's not many.
Not many. There's no reference anywhere to say sorry, son.
No, that's right. No, I was just about to say that there are a few interesting videos on YouTube as well, which is like a
Well,
quarterly.
you watched my channel then, haven't you?
No, not your
Oh.
channel. No. But I'll tell you what, these videos have been up there for years. Some of them have been. Some of them were recorded in old formats and then uploaded to YouTube recently. But they were recorded back in the 70s and the 80s even. And they've only had a handful of views. No one seems to watch them. They're not very popular. They seem very popular. For example, the Stone of Bethel, and the fact that Jesus was in England. And these documentaries, some of them are about an hour long, and they're old. Some of them go back to the 80s and early 90s and that. So they've been on YouTube since its inception, and they've only got a few hundred views.
People don't want to watch that sort of thing. They want to watch something which is like 4.5 minutes long or something. It's full of like jam-packed action and whatever
But
else.
even
you know.
Pilkingtons and Xander's, like it is warning shows. I found them enjoyable to watch. And
Yeah,
fun to
I've
see.
watched all of Zender's.
Yeah. But they haven't got
Do you think, Chris, when in the missing years of Jesus Christ, do you think when he was in England, now this was we are an Israelite nation, so that means that all those people that migrated here years ago, they became what the modern church called pagans
Yes, they did.
or druids.
Well, they already were, but they were already in that position in the land of the Medes and Persians when they were carried captive by the Assyrian kings.
Even before that, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, they
pretty-
were. But even more so then, because then they were divorced. God
Yeah.
divorced them.
Did they know they were Israelites?
They lost their identity because
Yeah.
God divorced them, cut them off from the covenant.
Yeah. But from what
He
I'm
didn't
understanding,
divorce Judah, but he divorced Israel.
Yeah. No,
Didn't he divorce Judah later on there?
No,
Oh.
never divorced Judah.
never divorced Judah. Yeah. But
Where is Judah now, Chris?
Well, they mixed
Jutland,
in with us
isn't it?
here.
Oh, okay.
The royal house is obviously of the house of Judah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. These pagans or these druids or whatever. I mean, apparently I read somewhere that they eat people. But then,
Yeah.
but
Well,
then
yeah,
I read somewhere else that they were very wise
Yes.
and very clever,
Yeah.
very fair.